We twist, we turn, we twist, we turn into Richard Pitino.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. We're at Locked On West Virginia again today. Appreciate you guys for joining in. Brought to you by none other than Nissan, of course. The 2025 Nissan Armada is here to stay. Make sure you stay with us when we talk about our team of the week later in the episode. That should be fun just for funsies. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network where we talk about your team every single day. Here's the thing, guys. West Virginia, Wren Baker and company have had one hell of a time in this coaching search. I believe that. I really do. I just got an important text. Wow. Okay. I'm going to wait and see if that gets confirmed. That completely just threw me off. So, that really just threw me off. We've got a lot to talk about on this episode. Richard Pitino is the name that is being ramped up a little bit here. Ross Hodge, Rick Pitino, Richard Pitino, not Rick Pitino. This is not the 70-year-old, 72, whatever old he is now, St. John's coach, although we would probably take him right at this point in the search. His son, Richard Pitino, the former Minnesota coach and UNLV coach who was so successful there, is a name that continues to gain momentum, and it's really Wren Baker's last big swing at it, right? When you look at the names that are left in the field, outside of some out of left field name that we haven't discussed yet or that isn't floating around out there, because here's the thing, like I said earlier, we only hear what they want us to hear, guys. That's just the truth of it. People can act like they're out in front of stuff. If you throw enough stuff against the wall, you're going to hit, right? If I threw every coach that West Virginia could get against the wall, I can come back in a week and say, see, that's just not how it works. I'm talking about all the candidates because that's who keeps trickling down, right? These names, we keep getting different names. The West Virginia's interviewed. We can confirm West Virginia's met face-to-face with Rick Pitino, we believe twice. We think Wren Baker maybe it was in Albuquerque. Not exactly sure where that was just yet. I got to be honest. Would you take Rick Pitino? I'm curious what your answer would be. Let me know down below. For me, I think he would bring some excitement for sure, especially if you outbid Villanova, who is also mentioned with Rick Pitino. Richard Pitino. Sorry. It's going to take me a second to quit saying Rick Pitino. In the same breath, if you beat out of Villanova to get Richard Pitino, then you're talking about excitement, right? You're talking about donor support. You're talking about picking up right where Darren DeVries left off and running. And you could probably get some of these kids back via the portal. It's going to be fun to see how it turns out. Obviously, Ross Hodge is playing right now on ESPN, or he's about to be at 9 o'clock. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, guys. And obviously, we're going to talk about Amani Hansberry, who has entered the transfer portal. I'll give you my thoughts on that. And then Rich Rod and Reed Carrico. Also, Larry Porter spoke today. Interesting words from the head coach, interesting words from Reed Carrico. And I was really impressed with Larry Porter, the new running backs coach. So it's a jam-packed episode. We got a lot to get to. Make sure you hit that like button while you're here, guys. They're getting on to me because I forget to ask. So number one, don't send me any super chats, please. Number two, please hit the like video. Number three, drop a comment below, even if you don't agree with me, even if you want to call me fatty, whatever you want to do, it's fine. Doesn't bother me. I know that I'm overweight. It's not a big deal. Like, it's really not. obviously, look what I'm drinking, a gallon of coffee. So yes, that's right. Somebody put in the comments, I never sleep. Pretty much, I'm like, I haven't moved from this spot except to go to the store earlier where I bought 4 6-packs of Mountain Dew. So absolutely, guys, I am working hard on this, and whether it's healthy for me or not, it's a whole other conversation. But I don't stay away from this PC setup. I don't. I've got 3 monitors, and they've all got something different on them related to this coaching search. It's the truth. I put my entire life and effort into this, and it's really just studying the possible candidates. And I wish we knew who it was going to be. I wish I could point it out and say, I think it's this guy. I think it's that guy. I honestly don't know if it's going to be Pitino or Hodge at this point. I would be surprised if it was anybody else because there's names out there that, Allen, Huss, High Point's a name. And then you get to the Bryce Drews and just names that you haven't heard a lot about. Surely Wren could about face, or he could be smoke screening us with Rick Pitino. He could be going another direction. Nobody knows outside of Wren and his circle, though. I promise you that. Or who they, if they leak out information to people, it's done purposely and with purpose, right? So absolutely think this is going to be a situation to where we're going to know when they want us to. So anyway, on the Rick Pitino subject, I think this is an interesting. It's not creamer, by the way. It's not creamer. It's coffee. It just looks like creamer. I think he would be a great hire. I do. I've thought about it today. And look, in the beginning, when we still had other candidates, in the mix, I really felt like Pitino, but I focused too much on his Minnesota run. And I started to think about how hard of a job that really is. It's a tough job. First of all, I said it earlier. It's tougher than West Virginia, right? Minnesota. That's fair to say, right? It's absolutely a tougher job than West Virginia. And he did well there at times. He got those guys to the tournament, I believe. But certainly, like I say, when it comes to these things, like he's 42 years old. He got that job when he was freaking 30 years old, guys. That's really young. That'd be like Zach Alley getting a head coaching job right now. Is he ready? Could he make some mistakes that he wouldn't probably make in 10 years? Absolutely. God, I'd hate to be held to the fire over things I did at 30. They'd bury me under the jail, right? I've said that before. He's got a lot of experience, man. He's been a lot of places. He's been at Charleston, Northeastern as an assistant. He's been at Duquesne, Louisville, Florida, right? FIU, Minnesota. So with Duquesne, Louisville specifically, even though regionality is kind of being pushed out of the game in both college and pro, college and football and basketball, I think, with the portal, obviously, it doesn't matter as much, but still in high school recruiting, knowing the Louisville area, knowing the Duquesne area, which is close to West Virginia, obviously, is important. I think that's a factor. It's one small factor. Obviously, his dad can help him with a lot of connections outside of that anyway. And the Minnesota job, like I said, he got that job really, really early on in his career, and he didn't have such great records there, right? You look at his first year, they won 25 games, really good. And that was during 13 and 14 when the Big Ten was really tough during those years. Ohio State was really good. A few other teams were really good then. And then they won 18 the next year. They won 8 the year after that. That was in year 3. Then they won 24 in year 4, back to 15 in year 5, 22 in year 6, and then in 20 and 21, 15 and 14. That's rough, man. That is rough, and it could be fool's gold with this guy. But here's what I'll say. When did the transfer portal open for the first time? Well, 2020, right? I think. Isn't that when it opened? When did the portal open for the first time? So the transfer portal officially opened on October 2018. So, okay. Looking back so it looks like he would have had 1 year of portal at Minnesota. And I don't know how those classes did. I'm imagining he probably didn't have great resources. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to say you get to New Mexico, which is a pretty tough job. They got a lot of history there. We know that. He won 13 games in year one there, and then it's on the ascent. He goes from 22 to 26 to 27, and he's 88 and 49 there, which is close to 70% winning, 65% winning percentage. And that makes him 247 and 186, which is close to 60% all time as a coach. I think it's a risky hire, but at the same time, I think it would be a slam dunk hire for what's left out there. You either take Ross Hodge, or who is unproven, has 2 years in the game total. That could be he could be great. He's Grant McCasland disciple. Obviously, McCasland's so young in his career. This would probably be the first coach in his coaching tree. So I think there's a lot to explore there. Let's go on a quick break, and on the other side of that, we'll continue to talk about Rick Pitino just a little bit more and explore the idea of him in Morgantown. And we'll obviously talk about some of this portal business that's going on with the Amani Hansberry. How far off are we from Sencire Harris from being in there? We'll talk about that next. Locked On West Virginia. We'll be right back. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Nissan. The Armada Team of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On college basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart. From top-seeded stars to the unexpected upsets, these guys showcase strength, sheer power needed to push their team forward. This week's Armada clear-cut team of the week is the Arkansas Razorbacks, a.k.a. the Fighting John Calipari's. Despite losing their first 5 SEC games, Coach Cal's Hogs fought their way through the most rugged conference in college basketball. No, I don't know about that. To not only make the NCAA tournament, but knock off back-to-back national champs and Hall of Fame coaches en route to the Sweet 16. Now, that's impressive. They accomplished all this without their second leading scorer, Boogie Flan, for most of SEC play, and without leading scorer and rebounder, Adu Thero, so far in the NCAA tournament. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what the Arkansas Razorbacks have done here. It's clear that our team of the week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of Nissan's outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Shop at nissanusa.com. It's segment 2. We crack a coffee. 1 second. So it does look like creamer, but it's French vanilla coffee, iced coffee. For those of you looking on or listening on podcast, it is how big is this? 50 ounce. It's a 50 ounce. It looks like a creamer, but it is iced coffee. Non-dairy version. It's pretty decent. If you like French vanilla, I don't mind it. I just needed something for caffeine. I don't drink a lot of coffee at all, actually. So, all right. So here we go. Talking a little bit more about Pitino here. We'll get into the Rich Rod stuff here. I got a bunch of notes taken from earlier, different things he said. Of course, Rich Rod brought up TikTok dances again today. Why wouldn't he? And we'll obviously talk about meeting our new running backs coach and Larry Porter. Reed Carrico said a lot of cool things today. There's a lot of fun stuff going on in football that's overshadowed right now with this basketball search, which, honestly kind of needed that to bridge the gap between this and football season anyway, since we got out of the tournament so early. So a little more on Pitino. It's been tough because like I said, I think I held initially his record in Minnesota against him. And why wouldn't you? It's bad, right? But at the same time, I think that was a tough situation. It was a bad situation. It was obvious by year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Probably gotten stale. Voice probably wasn't being heard so much anymore. And he's taken this New Mexico Logos program that was on the brink of just really bad and resurrected it. And that's pretty cool, right? You know, two straight tournament bids, NCAA tournament bids, where he's, he got to the round of 32 this year. I think it's safe to say, man, you could say he's probably righted the ship, right? He would be a unique one to come to West Virginia. I don't know how he would fit in the program as far as culturally, but I certainly think that his dad succeeded in a place that we consider country in Louisville, Kentucky for a long time, and it didn't face him at all. He was very successful there. So I think West Virginia could be the same. And I think if you're asking me straight up who I want for West Virginia going forward, without a whole lot more intel on Ross Hodge, I'm going to go with Rick Pitino if nobody else is involved. I think another name that I haven't heard at all that I would be interested to see how some people feel about, Frank Martin is a name I haven't heard a lot from, guys. And obviously he's at UMass. He's had a lot of success in his life. Obviously that's another guy that would open up the the Huggins barrier again. But man, does he play great defense? If you give Frank Martin the resources, I think he could build something. But then again, it's kind of like retreading Coach Hugs, right? So I understand that too. Let's move on to the portal now as we and by the way, just my final thing on this is I think Pitino would be a good hire for what's left. Certainly, I would have still rather had McCollum personally, but that just was never going to happen. So I think this is one of those coaching searches where if Wren Baker can pull this off, now that even Villanova is coming after Pitino, you freaking jump for joy. I think that's where we're at in the search. The other option is a guy that's got 2 years in Division I, very good years. Seems like a very good guy, very nice coach. Has a lot of unique defensive principles. Obviously, Grant McCaslin tree there, but I think Pitino's the bigger splash. You may get the more support, which is basically what matters most in this era. All right, guys. So as we move on to the portal, and I share this here on X, obviously a big loss today. Somebody I'm a big fan of, in Amani Hansberry, has entered the transfer portal per Joe Tipton. As you know, and then Amani did post something about that, which was cool. I'm really big fan of Amani's. Like I said, Joe Tipton, West Virginia big man. Amani Hansberry is entering the transfer portal. He told On3 Sports. 6'8" sophomore, averaged 9 points a game, 6 rebounds per game this season. Former 4-star recruit. Began his career in Illinois, and he did, right. And unfortunately, this is the game. This is how it's played. And this is from Amani Hansberry. Thank you, Mountaineer Nation, for your unwavering support throughout my time here. After much thought and consideration, I've decided to enter the transfer portal to explore new opportunities. With this awesome picture of him up, and I think he even though he had a really tough last game in the uniform, I have to say I'm proud of Amani. I am. I hope he does well wherever he goes next. Whatever that looks like, he, in my opinion, is certainly, absolutely. I need to probably daggone it. He certainly and absolutely needs to be applauded for his time in Morgantown. So I hate to lose him. I think it's not going to be the only loss, unfortunately, during this portal season. Hopefully, if a new coach gets hired soon enough, maybe we have an outside shot to keep him around, especially if you're willing to pay these guys. But that's where it's at, right? We're in the era of transfer portal where it's basically we're a bunch of hired hitmen, and that's where it's at. So thank you to Amani Hansberry. We'll probably, something I saw earlier, I mentioned earlier, Sencire Harris put his highlights up on X. That's never a good sign, guys. Usually the highlights are followed by a portal entry. So, and we know that Amani and Sencire are close friends. So I'll be expecting that to be really close behind, although I have no source on that. I mean, I could text Sencire, but I doubt he'll answer me. So we'll see what happens there. Also, I think this is obviously tied to Chester Frazier, just from sources that I have. Actually, I know this. I have sourced this. Obviously, the non-hiring of Chester Frazier is the reason this has happened. He went through the interview process. Wren Baker has decided against hiring him. I'm assuming so that he could get a head start on another job. Probably told him, hey, it's not going to be your time. Maybe we can get the next guy to bring you back in as an assistant. And maybe you will get lucky and that happens, because if you can start with the Pitino, Frazier or whatever as an assistant, obviously that's elite. But even if, another thing about Pitino is even when he does come, if he comes, he's going to have assistants. His dad, there's plenty of people that would be willing to come work for a Pitino. So there's a lot of really, really good that comes along with that. If it's Hodge, then I don't know. Then you pray that a Frazier comes along, but I've already been told that's unlikely. Let's go to break. On the other side, guys, we'll talk a little bit more about Rich Rod, the new running backs coach. He had a lot to say. Reed Carrico even interviewed today. What did they say about the West Virginia football program and this new hard edge? We'll talk about it next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're plumbing, HVAC, or electrical, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Do you need help with that order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies, which is a few clicks. Plus, use promo code S-5-H for 5% off your first order. That's doing that today at supplyhouse.com. All right, guys. So thank you for joining. It's been a fun episode. Obviously, we got a lot going on here. We're at the point in the search where literally anything could happen, right? We could have an announcement now during this video. The coach could happen. Obviously, we had 3 people that were interviewed today. This is after spring break, after a break in the action for football. Rich Rod came in, obviously had a lot to say. So I was really impressed with some of the things he had to say, because I think, I tend to look at the negative aspects of what we have going on. Like, here's something. Let me add this. Let me see here. Let me see if I can add this to. Okay, I think it's this one. We'll see. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's this one, though. We'll have to make sure. I'm trying to add. Nope, that's not it. Okay, let's see. Could it be that one? So, West Virginia, yeah, there it is. West Virginia has added the most new players in 2025 at 59. Arizona Wildcats standing pat at 53, Mississippi State at 51, Arkansas 46, North Carolina at 46, Oklahoma State at 45, Ole Miss at 45, Wake Forest at 45. 59 new players, and look, we're not even close to being done, guys. We're going to add a lot more in the spring, probably at least close to a dozen more. Probably going to get close to 70, if not more. So, talking about a whole new roster in year one, it's asking a lot for Rich Rod to succeed in year one, guys. But there's one person that could do it, it's him. They asked him about where we stood on the financials, and I thought that was interesting. He danced around it for the most part, but I liked his answer. He feels like we can compete, and I do believe him. He wouldn't say it if he didn't believe it. It's just not who he is. Some good, some bad today. A lot of evaluation still ongoing, according to Rich Rod. A lot of, 59 new players, guys. There's going to be that every single practice. He said he evaluated a recruiting list for the 2026 prospects and did current evaluation of the team over spring break. And he said, and he brought down the 105 again, where he's talking about the roster cuts. Every program required to get down to 105. West Virginia, way above that. Not way, but we're over it. So Rich Rod, he's brought this up in every single press conference. Not looking forward at all to that. Wants it to be grandfathered in. Probably not going to happen. So they're going to sort the roster out. Obviously, after spring practice, they're letting out a week before the portal opens so that they can have conversations with guys. And honestly, I almost did a full video on this because this is what's going to happen. They're going to have to cut scholarship players. Got people that are on scholarship, possibly on NIL deals, that aren't performing or either can't perform due to some injury. That's the fact. We're over the 105 limit, and obviously you can cut some walk-ons, you can cut some people, but at the end of the day, scholarships, 105 scholarship players, guys. So scholarship players are going to have to be cut. It's going to be crazy. And maybe even a couple of decent players get cut that has a chance to even play, right? It's the world that we live in this era of college football. Don't agree with it, but we have to live by the rules. We have to abide by it. And Rich Rod talked about it. He was very careful about how he said it. I mean, he was trying I could see him not wanting to say it, but we're going to have to cut scholarship players, and that's going to be a fact. So that's going to be really interesting to see who that is. Each coach is in favor of a single portal period to have an idea what the roster is going to be. So moving from 2 portal periods to 1 is important to Rich Rod and most coaches. When asked about how they're choosing players, I found this to be interesting. He said, if you're coming to West Virginia just for the money, you're done. We're not going to recruit you. There's got to be a mixture. You got to love to play football. You got to have a love for the game. You want to get better, earn success, right? That's the thing Rich Rod talks about all the time, which makes me wonder, is he going to struggle in this era of the portal? I sometimes wonder about it. We've seen guys like Dabo, other guys who are used to being a little more hard-edged towards their players that are making you earn it, right? And we've seen guys that will just pay the highest bidder. It's just the way of the world. It really is. So every decision they make is, does it help the team win? I underline that. Does it help the team win? That's what it comes down to, guys. When it comes to, are you going to stay on this roster or are we going to recruit you? Flat out, bottom line, do we think you can help us win? If so, you're going to get paid or we're going to recruit you. If not, see you later. Talked about Jaheim White a little bit, said he was in a green shirt, didn't do much. Said he knows what he can do. He's a proven guy. Expects a lot out of him this year. Talked about how he met Coach Logan Bradley. He was at Ole Miss right before he got there, so they've got mutuals that kind of have them set up with each other. They want some more speed. So that's going to be portal, obviously. Running back, he mentioned speed at running back, wide receiver specifically. So we're going to get more bodies in, guys. Just telling you that right now. It's going to happen based on Rich Rod's comments. And so the last thing I have here is more competition so that they can weed out who to keep and who to stay. He said that in so many words. They're going to add more competition competitive situation in practices, one-on-one drills, that type of thing, so they can figure out who it is gets to stay on board. Logan Bradley, the running backs coach, was next. And for me anyway, maybe Reed was actually next, but this is how I watched him. What a compelling interview he gives. I really enjoyed hearing him talk. He's a good orator. He's a guy that is obviously well coached. Rich Rod talked about in the past that he coaches his coaches. You can 1,000% tell that Logan Bradley was coached in this press conference, what not to say. If he didn't say hard edge 20 times, I'll give you $100. I mean, that's just literally an echo chamber from Rich Rod in that press conference. So, one thing about, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean Logan Bradley. I mean Larry Porter. My fault, guys. My fault. Larry Porter, the new running backs coach. So he said Jaheim White can have a great year. He's still learning more about him. They want to build off last year from him. And he's, they asked him what hard edge meant to him. And he outlined a bunch of different criteria that what hard edge means to him. But man, did he point to Rich Rod over and over and over and over and over and over again as somebody he obviously looks way up to. Obviously, everybody's getting their lead from the head coach in this scenario. Rich Rod is an alpha, guys. We have got an alpha dog as our head coach. He runs the show. Nobody else has a say. I mean, look, I'm sure they do. But, it's all Rich Rod's show, man. And he said that he can tell how much this opportunity really believes in our team. And I really, and the coaches too. So, Ben, I really appreciate that comment. I don't normally single them out, but when I get people in here that are kind of new, I do like to let you know I appreciate that. Who's your fan here? Found your profile a week ago. Just want to say I love your show. Good luck to you all. Thank you very much, man. And I appreciate that. A lot of us aren't happy with Coach DeVries and how he left, but certainly, hopefully you get the enjoyment that you deserve out of your basketball product. I know it's been a while since you guys have been where you feel you should be. So wishing you the best, man. Thanks for coming in. Absolutely hit that subscribe button, like the video and all that stuff too, guys, while I'm thinking about it. Reed Carrico, I didn't have a chance to finish his. I was watching it up literally till the moment I hit record on this video. That's how my schedule today, guys, is I got up at 8:30 this morning or something like that, which is sleeping in for me. I went straight to my sources to see if I'd gotten any texts. I responded to the one text that I have. Then I went to message boards and checked and seen if there was anything from a couple of people that I know what they're talking about. No, nothing there. Went to the other websites that I go to and checked on writers that I know report things. Went and checked Pete Thamel, went and checked a bunch of different stuff. And then I started texting people. And that went from right up until my first video when we talked about Ross Hodge and the Calhoun being out. That was decided today, right? Calhoun had a chance all the way up till today. So from that, I went and shopped, got some coffee, got some Mountain Dew, and some, what else did I get? Got something else. I think it was cornbread or something to put in some vegetable soup that I made, or because I have some leftover vegetable soup. I think that's what it was for. And then I came back here and started researching for this video, obviously, and then watching all those press conferences, continuing to text people. So when I tell you, this coaching search for me has been all day, every day, it really has. I'm not exaggerating that. I don't want you guys to think for a second that I just get on here and put no effort in. I am putting a ton of effort in to try to, first of all, gain your respect every single time I come on here. I just want you guys to trust in this show and what we're about here, which is, if nothing else, honesty. That's the one thing I try to get through here. I'm never just going to lie. As far as what comes out of my mouth, I'm never just going to lie. I'm I'm always going to tell you guys what I'm hearing. I put you guys first in a lot of scenarios, and even the people I work for know that. The people I work with know that. I really do try to put you guys first because you guys give me something that nobody else can give me in this life, and that's some self-respect. You helped me gain that back 3 years ago, 4 years, well, almost 4, when I started doing this show. You guys really helped me gain my life back. I started doing this show a broken shell of a person who had just gotten clean, that didn't know what direction to head, know what direction to go. All I knew is that I loved West Virginia, being from the state of West Virginia, talking West Virginia sports and being obsessed about that. And like I told my sponsor at the time in Narcotics Anonymous, I said, I'm going to make it my new addiction. And that's what I've tried to do. And it's worked for 5 years, but it's because of you guys. Although I had some clean time under my belt before that happened, I feel like I have stayed clean in part because of you guys. And I like to remind you of that every now and then, because number one, if I can pull it off up until now, I don't take any day for granted. I could still make a mistake tomorrow. I have reverence for the disease of addiction. But if it weren't for you guys, then this thing that I can run towards, right, and not run from. I talk about fear-based motivation versus goal-oriented motivation all the time. And before I had this show and you guys to talk to, I always had something to run from. But now I got something to run towards, and that's this goal of making the show as good as it can be, as big as it can be. And truthfully, it's because of y'all. It really is. Like, even though some of us don't get along, I still can't thank you enough for trying to at least watch the show and figure out if you like me or not. I know I'm not for everybody. I know not everybody wants to support a guy that openly talks about drug addiction and his past like I do. But I appreciate you for trying, And yes, I may come off like a dick sometimes in some of my responses, like on Twitter or X or on the comment section. But, I'm passionate about what I do. And when people try to disparage me, sometimes I don't take it the right way. And it's an aspect of my life I'm still growing in, and thick skin is not as easy as people pretend like it is to have. So I try my best. But overall, I just wanted to tell you guys, I think so thankful for you. And, it's times like tonight when I've got, all you hundreds of people to talk to. It really means a ton to me. So that's really all I got. Just wanted, I like to tell you guys thanks every now and again, because it's y'all, not me, that makes this show special. So we'll keep you updated on this as we roll through. Would be nice if we could get Pitino, guys. I would love to wake up tomorrow with Pitino as the coach here, or another great coach. Maybe it's Ross Hodge. If it is, it is. But for you everyday listeners, man, and there's a lot of you. I mean, there really is, from Matt to Raven to Bill, Todd, even Brad that's in here is in here a lot, man. Machine, Shaq, a lot of you guys are in here. Tosh, and Doris. I could go on and on and on. I just hate to keep scrolling up. If I left anybody out, it's because I don't want to keep scrolling up. But a lot of you guys are in here every single day. Those of you on the podcasting side, even though I don't see you, or all I do is check my numbers over on podcasting, we have the fastest growing podcast on Locked On, or one of them. So thank you guys too for listening. I'm not trying to get too mushy here, but my heart's full of gratitude. And one thing I know is the day I stop being grateful is the day that I'll likely turn back into the old Paul. Somebody you guys would never recognize, somebody that you wouldn't even believe exists, somebody that I'm not proud of, obviously. So that's all. I hope you guys have a great one. I'll talk to you guys probably tomorrow. Unless we break news tonight, I'll take that. Gosh, did you see that? I spit all over the place. Crazy. All right, guys. Don't have a lot else for you. I think we'll go ahead and cut the show there. and I'll talk to you tomorrow, man. You all have a great night, and I'm out.